Yo, what's up fam, and huge welcome to episode number 7. My twin brother, sister-in-law, and myself bought a 1985 Doka transporter truck. This one right here, and spent the next year designing and building out a durable shell that would fit in the back of the truck to transform it into our dream luxury coffee truck business, and ultimately to serve the people in our community, located in Santa Rosa Beach, Florida. If you've never been to 30A before, I highly encourage you to come check it out. It's a beautiful area. Also, if this is your first time here, our goal is to provide you with the highest quality content on building out your DIY coffee truck, coffee trailer, or DIY travel trailer. And that's by taking you through our process and our journey. Last episode was a good time. We ended up talking about the door functionality as well as how we were able to get the doors to raise and lower. It's actually a tricky subject. Go check out episode number 6 for that. But for this episode, we're going to be talking a little bit more about the custom cabinet build and the wall setup. But before we jump into episode number 7, let's take a look at what we completed in episode number 6. And let's go. So as you guys can see, we finished mounting the electric actuators to the doors, which gave us a perfect blank canvas to measure the inner dimensions of our working area to begin sketching some ideas for the custom cabinets. And of course, at this point, we had already determined and developed an idea of where the major appliances would sit and how the barista's workflow would precipitate. For instance, where Justin is standing currently in the picture is exactly where all the plumbing would be run to. And now where he's standing is going to be exactly where the electrical panel box and the solar center is going to reside. Finally, the front movable cabinet will house things like cleaning supplies, knickknacks, and additional stock. Too funny, before our dad ended up volunteering himself to help custom build our cabinets, we ended up going to IKEA to draw up our space in their softwares, and I'm kind of surprised the computer didn't laugh at us. We didn't use IKEA. Huge shout out to my dad for stepping up to the plate again. Like I was saying in the very first episode, he's a man of infinite knowledge. And so we're very grateful that he knows what he's doing, because before this, I had no clue what it took to build a custom cabinet. And honestly, to this day, I'm still kind of confused on how to build a custom cabinet. But what I'm going to show you are some of the plans that he created. And I'm glad I held on to him. He said it's a bunch of chicken scratch, and some of it is, but I think it's also very useful to just see how he laid everything out. Let me show you that here in the next video. Here we are at the front page where we vaguely describe some dimensions for the ice maker, the fridge, and the front door. We also describe how much space we have between those. So we decided to go, 16 inches for the face of the electrical cabinet. And then we had 28 inches to make a support on this back wall right here. And that's where the plumbing is going to go. Finally, the last cabinet, which would be 15 by 21 and a half. And we ended up having to chop this corner off so that we can inset the movable cabinet. So I'll show you that here in a little bit and what I mean by that. For the second page, we have a bunch of scribbles for how my dad went about making the movable cabinet. As you can see, this is looking at the bottom portion of it to get the height, and then also to get the ledge so that some of it would be able to stick out on this portion right here.
It's the base of everything. Right. Once we get that built, and then we can notch this, and we can start looking at it and seeing exactly how we're going to do it. Jeremy, I think it's going to be doable.
Alrighty, that's what I like to hear.
If I go ahead and do this.
Look at them drawings.
None of that is right. just letting you know.
Not sure if any of this is useful to you, but this is how we did it. And here's the third. We were gone this past week. Dad ended up working on making this cabinet. This one's made, and then we just have to build out the other ones, which is going to be pretty easy because we already have the measurements. High five. Here's the frame of the movable cabinet after I installed the sliders onto it. The sliders are firmly secured to the frame using through holes and lock washers. We just got done building out the frame for the cabinet that will be moving in and out, and I think it looks really good. Right, Dad? Yep. Oh yeah. We just have to attach it to the carriages. Here you can kind of see the height difference between where that countertop's going to go and then where this countertop is going to go. We ended up finishing the cabinet with sanded plywood purchased from Home Depot, which has a great selection for cabinet wood, by the way. Our plan was to then wrap the rear of the cabinet with round half dowels, but a tip before you proceed with that, go ahead and prime and paint the flat face using whatever color you plan to paint the cabinets with. If you paint after the dowels are on, you may notice there will be some hard spots to read reach with your brush, just go ahead and thank me later. And finally, I can show you the rear cabinet that's notched over there, looking good. And then also, heads up, the cabinets have to be placed in position in a specific order. First, the whole wall, second, the movable cabinet, and third, the notch cabinet, which holds the movable cabinet in place. Also, none of that can be done with the fridge inside. Unfortunately, that has to come in last. Just a few more random pointers. The cabinet's face frame trim that we used was pine, and you're gonna want to cut the rails and stiles down to 2¼ inches. And don't forget about episode number 6, where we discussed the issues we were having with the linear actuators coming down and hitting the cabinets.
Closed all the way, yeah.
Which meant we ended up having to notch the cabinets. I'll go ahead and show that here so you guys don't have to run back to episode number 6 to watch it. Ended up either not being mounted far enough over here, or we chose the initial length of the actuator incorrectly because it ended up interfering with our cabinets, and we had to notch those in order for them not to interfere. It is what it is, and we're in the process of designing these caps to go over those notch holes to make it look a little bit better. And the same can be said about notching the electrical cabinet so that the runs of the metal clad could take place pretty efficiently back to the breaker and out to the power outlets. Alright, so after 10 whole weeks of being at my dad's house in Alabama, we ended up having to trailer the coffee truck back to Santa Rosa Beach to meet an appointment with the granite countertop folks. We thought we were going to put granite in there, but check it. I know Dad is praising the Lord. Yoo-hoo! I know I'm praising the Lord.
Well, now you can work on it at night, you know.
Yeah, she's coming back to Florida with us. I'm tired. I think we're all tired, but be bold, everyone. Dude, the rain is literally just raining sideways. Don't see that? And the Lord blessed us with an awning all the way down. I can't show you guys, but that's pretty cool because we have a bunch of wood on the back of the truck, so peace.
Finally made it home, back to Santa Rosa Beach, Florida, after 5.5 hours of driving.
We quickly got back to work installing the half dowels onto the rear of the movable cabinet, and then we just went ahead and put it up into the truck to see what it looked like. After that, we ended up painting the exterior of the cabinets tricorn black. We decided to keep the inside of the cabinets natural, and then we followed it up with a clear matte finish both on the inside and outside to weatherproof the wood and make sure it looked really good. Mike's doing a killer job. Good job. Yeah, that looks really good. Finley was absolutely stoked to be home while I made my way back up to Alabama to get some help finishing the doors. This is the Craig jig we used to cut the holes for the cabinet door hinges. And these are the exact soft close hinges that we ordered off of Amazon, and they worked great. Super easy to adjust. We use these natural doorknobs and then polyurethaned them in order to protect them from the water as well. Finally, we use this self-centering drill bit to pre-drill for the hinge hardware. Shoot, and I almost forgot to mention this Craig jig, which we use for the pocket holes in order to get the cabinets together. You're going to want to order this as well. Yeah, that thing is looking good. Hey, look, we just laid down some mulch, and I almost stepped on that black cat. I got back from Alabama this weekend, and we got done making that door and that door right there. We're kind of getting stuff back together over here. We've got this cabinet screwed in, and we've got this over here screwed in. Yo, and don't let me forget to tell you guys about the light bar that we made. We needed to fill this spot right here, so we decided to use some old trim that we weren't using for the build to go ahead and create something that we could integrate moody dimmable LEDs into. And you know we had to do the same thing to light up the tile in the back. It looks epic. Since this came in 26-foot length, we were able to use this for both the back glow of the tiles as well as the movable cabinet. We only use this for the tile back glow. If you hold your finger on it, it'll dim the LEDs, which is another key feature. And then we had to order one more remote because the other remote came with the LEDs, and we needed to control both LED strips separately. All right, great news. I think that's enough for the cabinets. Let's jump into the wall buildup. I think this one will be pretty quick. Hold on to your britches. We ended up using 11/32 inch sanded plywood for half the wall. We wanted it to be nice behind the cabinet, so that's what you got. And then understanding that our oak wood that would basically fill our back wall and would be behind our Be Bold neon sign would run from end to end. We chose not to have the 11/32 sanded plywood go all the way to the top for weight savings. And we also purchased this planer so that we could plane down the oak board so that all of them could be the same length and so that we could cut down weight. We did, however, have to cut smaller strips of the same sanded plywood to get that gap correct going all the way up to the top. So we did end up doing that. We fell in love with the oak boards. Number one, the first being biblical. We love the idea of the strength of oaks. It's beautiful too. The second was our heritage to Auburn and just a nod to Auburn. If you're not familiar with Auburn University, they have huge oaks that sit at the corner of what they call Tumor's Corner. It's a long story, but at the end of every huge win, everybody from the stadium runs to Tumor's Corner to toilet paper the trees that sit at the edge of Tumor's Corner, and those are oak trees. So it's such a unique and fun tradition tradition for families to do, call a southern. Those were the two reasons why we decided to use oak going all the way up the back edge of our coffee truck. And maybe this is obvious, but don't forget to route holes for your access panels and the wires. You'll also notice that the top lights in the air conditioner heater wires are run neatly behind the oak boards, and same goes for the 12-volt wiring for the water level gauges. I realize the tip I'm about to give you may not make a ton of sense quite yet because it's a little bit out of order. What's going to happen is I'm going to suggest use the curvature of the ceiling to obtain the curve of the oak board that we're using. But again, I haven't quite shown us how to put the ceiling up yet. Just for the second, act like the ceiling is already there and the ceiling installation is coming directly after this. Bear with me, it'll definitely make sense here shortly.
So we had to get pretty creative over here. In order to get the curve, we decided to go with cardboard. Basically put it up underneath that piece of wood and we traced it out. We took this off so we could get to the back side. And we pretty much got a perfect curve and put it up to the wood that's going to be going up there. Traced it, cut it, sanding it. Just try to make it as perfect as we can. From there, we were able to measure from here to the end of that in order to get the length that we needed. Now, we didn't want any screws to show. So we ended up going and getting these plugs right here. You can hide the screws with a countersink bit. The countersink bit looks like this. Then we're gonna put that on there. See this line right here at the very top? Don't hit that. That's what the hole looks like. And then we're gonna take our little pegs that you see right here. As you can see right there, those are the little pegs. But we had to make sure that we had a way to pop them out after we do the poly. There the first board is. It looks good. Finally, we're putting the last few fine touches to the wall.
Here's a finished wall with no pegs. Don't forget to polyurethane the oak boards as they come unfinished. They will need protection from the sink and the elements, so go ahead and do that. Here's the wall with the finished pegs. We didn't glue the pegs in so that we could access the screws if we ever need to get into the wall. And we still technically owe a smaller strip of oak wood on top of the countertop after that goes in. And remember, this is what the back wall is supposed to look like. This is the goal. So keep going, keep pushing, you got it. All right, so jumping over to the side walls, because we've already discussed this wall right here, I wanted to talk to the little slices of wood that go all the way up and around and then down and then back up, over, and then down. We also have one that rolls all the way down here as well, and then the same for down on that side. All of it got painted black, and you'll notice that we tried to conspicuously drill them into the support bars, so all I have to do is look for the screw to know that a support bar is right there. You know, at the end of the day, this black piece ended up being covered a little bit by trim, so it doesn't have to be perfect, and that goes for every single black piece of wood that we use to cover up these side walls. So hopefully that helps with your understanding of how we did these walls. And here's a better look at some of the raw cuts of the sanded plywood that we used over on the side walls. And again, here are some black portions that I wanted to show you as well. Another tip, don't put the trim on and finish up the back portion of the black panel that you use on the back of this door until you wire up your backup camera, or at least that's what we did. See, we put a grommet there and everything, try to make it look really nice. Just a heads up, don't button everything up until you do last minute things like this. Wow, thank you guys so much for making it to the end with me. As we always ask, if you found any value in this video whatsoever, please hit that like and subscribe button. That's the best way for other people to find our channel. We covered a ton today. Some of it includes how we built out our custom cabinets, as well as how we ended up building up our walls with oak boards and sanded plywood from Home Depot. Before we sign out, here's a sneak peek at what to expect the next episode, and we're looking forward to seeing you there. Let's get it.